And this. So hello everybody, another session of Holochain in Action. Thank you for watching. So I hope you already watched the previous video, and thank you for my friends in the community that came. So you know, all the link, all the document or repository GitHub you can find in the description. And if you would like to participate in these sessions, because it's bigger than the recorded version, so please also go to the link in the description and follow the instruction. So today we are going to continue peer share, but before continue implementation on the schema in a peer share, we are going to take a look at the Holochain data structure in a little bit detail. So what is element, what is entry? Guillaume and I, we are going to explain a little bit, open the topic, how the data is handling and what is the consensus algorithm, and you can see exactly how the things are different from blockchain. So, and yeah, global state, local state, element, entry, and I hope you can have a good understanding about the Holochain data structure after this video. So let me share my screen actually. Yes. And so can you see my?
Yep.
That's great. So yeah, we are going to talk about the data structure. First of all, we will see this presentation in a nutshell, how the things are working, and then we go to the playground so that Guillaume would continue to show you and how you can go there and test it manually by yourself to receive an experience at how the things are working. Generally, Holochain data structure giving you the opportunity that you can have a private data and a public data. It means we have a private data storage and public data storage. So just imagine it is you and you are going to install one Holochain application. We are calling it hApp. Any Holochain application has its own set of rules, business rules, conditions that implemented by developers, actually. You are going to install, for the first version, just imagine you are going to install that app on your device, any device, mobile, tablet, PC, anything. So when you install one application, Holochain, you are going to have immediately a source change per application with 4 elements as a genesis element. So per application, you are going to have one source chain. It is totally private on your private data storage, and it is your whole data. So, and we are calling them private data because the data here, if it is private, never is going to be leave your devices. So when you install the chain, or we are calling them, you will see a DNA is going to be created by these 4 elements. What are they? Let's postpone for the later. What are these elements? What is the job? You will see. So other people who are supposed to play with you and who are supposed to play the game, the same game with you, or be inside in the same network, are going to install the same application with the same set of rules or same set of business rules and validation rules. So as soon as you are on the same network with the same application, you are going to hold a 1DHT, distributed hash table. Part of data that's going to be held by this group using DHT, we call them public data storage. It means it is the data, can be queried, can be accessible by all the other people inside your network. So here, the difference between Holochain and blockchain, or it is better to say that the difference between a global state and local state is going to be emerged. It means this validation rule inside your application and your friend inside your community, it is the replacement of the global consensus algorithm, like a proof of work or proof of stake or others, because they are trying to create a global consensus. But this validation rule for you and your friend is creating a global consensus. It means anything's happening on your device, it's happening exactly on your friend devices. So if your friend inside your network validate the data with the same application, you are good enough and you can receive a good guarantee. Anybody is going to change the application or change the source code is going to be isolated, and they are not anymore part of your network. And that's why it guarantees you can play with your community. So after the installation, it means each person is going to have the one exactly the same source chain on their own storage, private storage. But for sure, because they are different, they have a different pair key, public key, and private key, they are going to hold a different element as a Genesis element, different data, but exactly the same condition. It means 4 Genesis element is going to be created for each of them after installation. Let's continue. Just imagine there is an application like a Twitter version of the Holochain application. You are going to create a public data, good morning or hello to the world as a public data. Let's see what's happening if you, using the UI, you press a key that creates data. Application is going to create one element, contain header and entry. The entry, as it mentioned here, is the public data. So this element is playing the role of one chain or one unit or one element inside your source chain. When it's going to be created, then application is supposed to validate, run the validation rules against actually the data you produce. So if all the business rule and condition are passed, then that piece is going to be added to your local source chain. And then header and entry, it's going to be published to other peers inside the DHT as a public data storage. It is the things happening when you create one content as a public content. Head element as a unit of a combination of header and entry, one chain here, and header and entry is going to be published to go to some people inside the DHT. Why they are supposed to hold the data? First of all, to support online, offline scenario. It means if you are offline and your device is not connected to internet and anybody else supposed to see your tweet, they can query DHT. Second one, others going to run the same validation rule, exactly like here, and they are validating your data. Are you a cheater or not? So before continuing, there are a bunch of other details. It means header and entry connected. Who are supposed to receive those information? There are a lot of details, and I would recommend that let's just continue this detailed question and step by step try to make the knowledge actually. So, but right now it is enough to know that for any action, headers gonna go if it is the public data. Also, the entry is going to publish to DHT. Two main reasons: data availability and also validation of the data. So before continue, I would like to a little bit clear the topic of element entry and header up. That what does it mean? Just imagine, map this phrase to this one. that make the understanding much more clear. It make the things much more clear. Just imagine element is an event, header is action, and entry is content. You create a public data. It means one event happened. What was the event? Action. Header, we are calling header as action. Action was create. What did you create? One public data, good morning for Twitter. Entry, it means content. So from now, anytime we are calling element, it means element can contain one header, 0 or 1, entry or content. Why 0 or 1? Let's continue, you will see. So element, header, entry can be event, action, content. Let me continue, and if there is any question, we can go back to question. Just imagine you would like to go to another action. Create private data. For example, just imagine you would like to have application for private notebook or something private. It means the data is not supposed to be public to others. It is your matter, not others. What happened? It means you again supposed to create element because it is an event. What is the action? Create. What is the entry? The content, private data. So again, it's going to be one element. It's coming here directly because maybe for a private entry, it doesn't matter. Maybe the developer doesn't want to implement any business rules. It is not a must for a private entry. I'm telling that it is optional. This validation rule can be there or cannot be there. It depends on the application. It is one example of scenario. So in this scenario, just imagine developer didn't implement any business rule. So what happened here? Then only the header is going to publish. The data is private. It's just adding to your source chain because it is your private storage. The data is not going to publish to the DHT as a public storage, just headers. Headers, as I mentioned, it is action. It means it is the footprint. So right now, it is showing you that anything you are doing in your application, in Holochain world, your footprint of your action is going to be inside the network in the DHT. It is the footprint. It means what did you do? But the data can be public or private. Public, share to other, private, doesn't share. So last step for here to explain the important point that imagine you would like to delete the first data you created. You created a Twitter, you post a Twitter or a blog or anything, and you change your mind, you are going to delete that one. You press the delete button. What's going to happen in the process? One element is going to be created with a header and no entry or no content, 0. Why? Element is there because one event happened. Header is there because one action is there. What is the action? Delete. But there is no content because you are not generating any content. You are asking Holochain application, would you please delete this entry for me? It is, you are telling, you are sending actually the address of this entry with a delete action. It means you are not generating any content. So it is telling us that in Holochain world, element should always have one action as a header, 0 or 1 content. We have a different kind of action. If we would have time, we go and look at the source code a little bit. You can see that headers or action can be create, delete, public, create, update, delete, crowd, or somehow install application. We have a bunch of activity or event that you need headers. We're calling them headers. Here, it is a delete. What's happening? One element is going to be created. It's coming to application. It's validating it. If it is true, it's adding to your local source chain. And again, header is going to be published in the DHT. So there is no entry to be published, just header. Header is a footprint. But there are still some details. I'm not going to open that details right now, but because there are a lot. I think for now it is enough to mention that for the continuous peer share, you will see that we are going to design entry, and when we create entry, how we return back the ID, how we are going to fetch the data. But all the time, if you are supposed to implement Holochain application, you need always to consider or design the application in your mind about entry as a data and header as an action and the owner and or element of the data. It means combination of header and entry. Header is going to be contain who did that event, who created that one, when created that one, and what was created, one good morning, what content. It means we can implement somehow applications and stop generating the same data content again and again and again. In this scenario, we can implement a different, really beautiful kind of application and in really good way and in a fashion way that to stop producing a lot of garbage data. So from my side, that's it. If there is any question, please. Otherwise, we can go to the playground and also Guillaume can show you the things in a web. Is there any questions so far? Guillaume?
Yeah. Do you want me to go to the gym?
Yeah, playground. If you can also share this one and
Sure.
then thank you.
Okay. So I'm sending the link in the chat just in case.
And for the people who are gonna visit later, I'm gonna put the link of Gym. I think I already put in the previous video in the description. You can find all the link in the description.
Sure. And actually, Lucas, for me, it would be useful to understand. Oh, and Thomas is also joining us.
Yeah.
So I think Hedaya's explanation was quite good and quite exhaustive. What would you want to see in action first? Like, what are maybe some questions that it's like, okay, I understood that, but I want to go deeper. Is there anything?
Well, the question I would ask would be about the conductor, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Conductor. Let's postpone conductor because really deep question conductor. We are right now in a data structure. It means, Guillaume, can you show with one example how header and entry is publishing? It means who are receiving that one when we click on them? Yes, here.
Sure. So, yeah. Okay. So, for example, here is a representation of the DHT. In here, every circle you see is a different agent, so a different Holochain node running the same DNA. So these are all participating in the same network. And the nodes that are connected with each other means that they have open connections. They are neighbors and they are gossiping with each other. Actually, like, wait. Okay, so you can see on the background, they are gossiping all over the place. I'm going to turn it off because it's going to distract us. So, okay, let's for example, create an entry. Okay, I'm going to do it fast first, whatever content, execute, and this gets called, and then you see all the published. long, and after the publish, the validation, and now the entry is published. Okay, going to do that step by step this time. So what we are doing is calling the create entry function in Valentina, and then if you see this is well important. This is really relevant. So here we have 3 store entry publish requests, which go in one way of the DHT, and 3 publish store element, which go in the other way. The entry store entry is storing the entry, store element is storing the header, right? And then well, everyone receives it, runs their own validation, and then they publish it. Is that clear enough? Like I would want for some back and forth and see if I should get deep into any of these sections. If not, I will go step by step maybe.
So I saw the entry and the element are 2 different actions within the network.
Yeah. So for example, here, I think this will be interesting as well. So we have the same DHT. Actually, I don't like this DHT. Two nodes are disconnected. Now we are a bit more lucky. So you can see here, it's the source chain, okay? And the circles are headers connected to each other, okay? And different agents will have different source chains, okay? So now you don't really see because they all start with the same kind of chain, but if I create something, then that gets added to the chain, and actually other people don't have that element. So this is the only one that created the element, right? And then the ones that are storing this entry are these 3 ones. Okay, these 3 ones are the ones that are storing the entry, and the ones that are storing the header are these 3 ones. Okay, and this is because the entry and the header actually have different hashes, and the DHT organizes things by hash.
That is great. Yeah. Can I add something? Yeah. So it means, first of all, the source chain, it is your activity. Maintaining DHT as a distributed hash table as a global data of the network, it is separated topic than source chain. It means if you're supposed to hold some data from others, it is not inside your source chain, actually. It is in a DHT. Number one. Number 2, who are, as you saw, and when VM click on the other, and you see right now there are, yes, and the entry and header. Entry and headers can save on a different neighborhood. The topic, if you go to the core concept in a forum, you will see a neighborhood. Neighborhood is the keyword for you to follow how the people around you saving the data. And the topic of a neighborhood showing you who inside the network save which piece of data for you. Because as we already talked, we have a different piece of data, headers, action, and entry. We have something else, metadata, link, blah, 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 for later, okay, step by step. So it means, as I mentioned earlier, always header and entry are not supposed to save on the same place. It is the things that help to save the things in a different place and query them is neighborhood. Thank you.
Right, so here, these 3 yellow nodes are the neighborhood that is holding the header. But if I go here, they don't actually have the header in the source chain. It's stored elsewhere because they have not committed it. The only one that committed it was Franny. Although Megan is holding it, not in her source chain, but in her DHT shard, which is a bit different.
And just to come back on the question of entries and headers, that means that you can have you cannot validate them both at the same time.
What you are validating actually is an element, a full element, and the element is An entry plus header, both.
Okay. Okay, so even the one that are storing only the header, they have access to the whole element, including the entry when validating.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, so the ones that are holding the header are also holding the entry, but only that entry. And the ones holding the entry actually are holding all the headers that committed that entry. So let me, because that's a bit tricky, let me illustrate that a bit more. Entry graph, please. Yes. Okay, so this is the entry graph, right? So if I create entry, this is going to be here. The thing is that if I show the headers, you can see the headers that created the entry, right? So right now it's only one create header who has created that entry. But if I create the same entry again, then it's two headers, right? In the source chain, you can't ever have duplicated headers because it's a hash chain, and like the hashes cannot be the same if every header has in its hash the entropy of the last header. So here you will have two headers pointing to the same entry. And the point I wanted to make is that the people actually having holding the entry, they are holding all the headers for that entry, but the people that are holding the headers are only holding that header and the entry. That's a bit convoluted in the sense that you don't need to think about this necessarily for app development, but you do need to know what requests like, for example, if you do a get with the header, you are with the header hash, you are going to get the header plus the entry. But if you do the get with an entry hash, you're going to get the entry plus the latest header. So there are tricks like this that you can actually see in the getting elements exercise. Well, there is a full explanation of how this works and why it works that way, if you want to go there. What else? Should we go to validation rules? I want to show the validation rules one, at least. If there are no other questions.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is that as Hedayat said, I want to show this because I think it's quite cool. I like it. As Hedayat said, if you are not running the same rules, you get forked into your own network. But that's supposing that you're running the normal Holochain code. Someone could fork that Holochain code, like here, Livia. Livia is a bad agent. You can see for the demon face. They could fork their own Holochain code and lie to you about which version of the hash they are running. So actually, Livia has deactivated validation rules actually, and is trying to do some bad actions in this network. Okay, so in this network, everyone can create, but only the agent that created one entry can update it, right? So it's very simple validation rule, and Livia is going to try to break it. So let's see. So first of all, Carmina is creating an entry. That's all right. Everyone can create an entry, so it's no problem at all. And now Livia is going to try to update that entry. So actually, she succeeds locally because she has commented validation. But when she publishes, everyone validates and can see that she was bad and actually starts creating warrants. Oh, I have a bug. That's interesting. Hold on. Sorry about that. let me run it again, because that was not supposed to happen, and that's a bug. I have to fix that on the core.
Beautiful.
That's interesting.
Beautiful.
But the idea is that at the end of the day, the bad actor gets disconnected from the network because everyone doesn't want to talk to the bad actor anymore, like this, right? They all warrant. This warrants is saying, alarm, there is someone trying to cheat. And now she is disconnected. Yeah, any clarifications, any questions? Hedayat, do you want to, like, I could do more, but I also know that you want to do some peer share today. How do you want to manage this?
Now, if there is anything, if there is any question, please go and ask. And if you think anything necessary, because we are going to implement one element in action. It is for a peer share, you know, because personally, I would like to build the knowledge step by step. There are a lot we can talk today, but generally today, what is element, header, entry, how they are saving, even in the network, we didn't open, there are a lot of topic, neighborhood, how they are going to their metadata, a lot. So, but just for a building to start, to continue, actually, I think it is enough. Otherwise, if there isn't any question, we could say for today it is enough. For today about the explanation. Is there any question, guys, about element, header, source chain? That's great. You can come back. Yeah.
Just one last thing. Like,
Cool.
if you want to get deep into any of these topics, just go here in the gym, and you will have explanations about and actual developer exercises on every one of these topics. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Guillaume. Exactly. If you would like to play with it, and also Guillaume and some other friends from a community are still working on it, you saw there was a bug, like always, doing something, the bug is showing, it's beautiful. So, and it is a great tool, and there are a more detailed and explanation there, how the things are working, and for sure it is still under the construction, it's working, Guillaume working on them with a lot of power. Thank you. And I'm gonna also share the link in the description. I think I would share always. This playground is beautiful. It's beautiful. And yeah, that's it. If there is no question about data, we can go for a few minutes break. And I'm gonna pause the video, a few minutes break, and let's go for the peer share and implement the schema. And we can create one entry, how to say entry, and from the next session, strongly implementing peer share. Okay, after a break, hello everybody again. So we had a conversation, like always, the session we have is longer than the recorded video. So yeah, we are going to implement something for the peer share based on the explanation we had about the element, entry, and header. So I would like to share my screen, and let's go and implement something to see how much we can continue today. So here, can you see my screen, guys? So before anything, hey guys, I would like also to somehow update you what's happening inside the community. Connor, our lovely community member inside the Holochain community. So he has been working for a while on a product named Acorn. So it is a product for team working and collaboration on a peer-to-peer world implemented and powered by Holochain, actually. So I'm going to share the link here. If you would like to see what's happening, how the things are working, and the power of Holochain also, you need to fill out this application. I'm going to share also the link in the description. Please go fill out the form and just join the first user who is going to see what is the Acorn. So, and I hope one day we will have Connor here to dig into the project in detail, what he implemented, how he is using the Holochain. I'm looking forward for that one. So I'm gonna ask Connor to see when he can join us in one Holochain-in-Action session. So I'm gonna share this link also. So that's also being said, we already see this one. Let's go for the implementation. So thank you, Nick, that we had some refactor. So if you are following still up the PeerShare repository, we are here actually. So we implemented am I developer, progenitor pattern is finished. So inside a lib, we implemented all the tests. Am I developer? We have an index that's showing us that these tests are working with progenitors. And yes, inside the lib also, these are finished. Right now, after the explanation of the data structure in Holochain and you know about the element and entry, let's go and start the implementation of the first, actually, the entry. So I'm going to create one folder inside the PeerShare source here and trees. So yeah, you know, I'm going to use it as a module. It means all the entries are going to be inside this one, entries. So, and then a schema dot rs. So let's go and create one public as a schema. And then I think from this session is not working. From the next one, we totally 100% focus on a PeerShare and implement the PeerShare. It means we will review the PeerShare diagram in detail. But right now, let's focus on the entry, how the things working. So I created one as a schema entry. So how we define one public entry to save the time, I would like, as you know, I'm going to actually use SDK preload start. We are running out of the time. I would like to go for babam, copy paste. So if you are going to create one entry, you need to decorate with something. HDK entry, ID schema, visibility public. Do you remember we talked about the private entry, public entry, private entry, public entry on the private storage and public storage. This visibility, it is the adjustment that you can do on a struct. Schema, it is the ID you are attaching to this struct for the entry. It means if you want to have an entry in Holochain as a data structure, you need to create a struct and decorate it with this one. Clone really needed, you need to have, and you will understand more in detail. Right now, I would like to have a three field definition, a string, version, a string, and owner address. It means who created this one as an agent public key. I hope it is clear. To speed up, also, let me say that I would like to have, that's it. It is the way, yeah? So do you remember we love TDD, test-driven, TDD, test-driven, TDD. Oh, I vanished. Test-driven development. So it means I would like to come here and say, okay, so it means I'm gonna call the test as, let me, what I called it, schema /test ts. So let's go implement test and then implement the functionality. So bunch of copy paste. I'm going to save time, you know, asleep. We need to do refactor. I love to implement a bad smell code and then refactor. So we implement and explain enough how the things are working. I'm going to import something from common. So, and then, yes, it is the module expert. And then here, so let's okay. So or no. We are running out of the time today, so I'm going to copy and paste more to reach the good point. Yeah, let me bring everything here actually. So yeah, let me bring everything here and I am gonna explain. Let's clean up at first. So yes, I'm going to say that I'm going to create a schema and it is the schema and let's ignore the rest. That's it. What happened here? Okay, from here I need to delete. So that's it. So what we are going to implement, one zone function. It means we need to finish this one. Library. What is that? I would say create a schema. What we need to have a DTO. Do you remember for input parameter, we need to send a DTO as a serialized so that it is the must kind of. So, and it is asked for that one. And what is the DTO? I'm calling a DTO, data transfer object. It means I'm looking for a DTO, which is this one. It means a struct, definition and version, a string and a string, which is serializable, sent to me as an input parameter. That is great. And I'm going to do not see right now this one. It means we receive some data and we will create entry a schema, create a schema with this one, and then we can call it. It means, let me also go step by step to see everything is working. Unimplemented. I just want to up and run the test and just continue to uncomment and implement the function. So here I leave create a schema. So what happened? I created a test file, a schema test, one scenario, install agent as a developer, true or false. We refactor this one. Thank you, Nick, for helping. We will talk about it later. So we are installing one agent and then we create a schema as I want to create a schema, definition, and version. So I'm going to call one public function with this object, and we are going to investigate how the things are working actually. So, and it should be okay. That's it. And it should be faked. Next shell on the root folder. Great. I didn't bring it in the index here. So to speed up, I'm going to comment others. Let me duplicate one of them. I will uncomment later actually for saving time. So I'm going to run a schema test. Last time I had a typo and it wasted a lot of time. That's it. We are just running one test. Okay, it is not building the solution because we need to import. It is showing me what we need to import. Caret util holo hash, I think from a holo hash. So DTO is not defined. Let's bring it here. The module of the entry is not defined. We need to define it. So entries, we need to go. Do you remember modularity in the entries dot rs. So I'm creating the folder with the same rs file. So I am bringing pub mod schema here and defining it here. Use mod entries. Then it is suggesting that this one. That's it. Input is not used. Dead code at underline. That's it. It's failed. Oh, there is something I missed. What was that? That I added one JSON NPI to the package JSON for the. We didn't review this refactor actually.
You need to add the types module.
I did here. I added actually.
Have to use the link.
This one. So I just didn't install the NPI. I did. Generally, because we didn't review this refactor, I'm going to explain. Okay, it failed. That's it. Great. It's telling us that the curve expression unreachable. That's great. So the topic that for the comment that we didn't review this one, I use a JS base 64. Thank you, Guillaume. So Guillaume implemented this one that we can use for generating agent pop key for the progenitor. To do not mix the topic, I'm gonna postpone this topic for later. Let's continue focus on the actually for this one. So that's it. We implemented the test and we created the structure and we scaffold the test and actually function, zone function, but it is not working because we didn't implement something. So what we are going to do, we need to go to our public entry as a schema and start the implementation. Again, I'm going to copy and paste. So this one, and explain how the things are working. So so generally, it is my lovely pattern that I would prefer to go for the actually factory pattern. It means create instance of any struct. It's supposed to be handled in one place instead of putting in everywhere to create one instance. That's why I am fan of implementing this pattern everywhere actually. If you have a struct, implement new, receive something as much as possible the required, and then create one instance. So yes, how the things are working in the schema. We are receiving a schema DTO coming from UI. So return back entry #64. So again, if you have any explanation here, because it is tricky, and we have also a forum thread about it, different kind. If you think we need some explanation here, please add.
Just like the simple explanation is that entry hash B64 serializes directly to string on the front end. So for the UI, it's easier. That's the explanation, really.
Because if you are a developer and you're challenging this day, we have also a wrapper entry. That one a wrapper. It is obsolete. We are not supposed to use it. Yeah.
It's almost exactly the same as this B64, and B64 is from core. So basically, yeah.
So thank you. So it means we are going to create one public entry and return back entry hash. So you remember we have header and we have entry hash. Based on your scenario, you need to think what you are going to implement, why you need a header hash, you need entry hash, what do you need? Let's right now continue for entry hash. Entry, it means the content. Do you remember? Content or entry. Create one schema based on the DTO. What is the schema new? Schema new creating a definition. Definition, it is JSON schema. I will explain about the peer share, what is definition from next week, that we are going to implement a lot for peer share backend. But just imagine it is a string right now, version, owner address. Owner address is not coming from UI because it's not supposed to be cheated. It's receiving from agent info, from the conductor or the space. It means it should be generated from the WebAssembly code, not be injected from outside, that somebody can create entry on behalf of me actually. And that's why it is owner address. It is not receiving from outside. It is receiving from the conductor. Conductor, it is the part of Holochain world that is running our application. That's it. Then create entry. It is from subconscious. F12, you can go and read the place, how the things are working. So then when I create entry, so I would say the hash entry, and then I would send back the entry hash. So I'm going to use it later, but I put it there because we need to create entry. So I'm not going to use it. It is a dead code. I will improve it later. That's it. Really easy. Create one instance of your entry, create, just return. That's it. It is working? No. Why? We will see. What is missing? We will see. Let's go step by step. You see some commented code, but so that's it. This one's supposed to be built and working, but one piece is missing. What is the things? When you create one entry, public, private, whatever, you need to define it as a metadata. You subconsciously supposed to know that there is something. I need to be waiting for something. Like SQL Server or MySQL, if you are going to have a table, you create a schema of that table at the beginning. How this one is working in Holochain? There is a micro you need to implement here. You say entry definition, my schema. From your schema, it means the object, the struct you are going to have as a public, and entry definition. You need it. It is required. After implementing this one, it means Holochain is waiting and knows that this struct is public entry. That's it. So that's it. It's calling. First version is working. Let's test. Bang. It is the result of the test. You see, guys, at first we implement this one, and also it passed because I put that it is okay. So it is working. A little bit, let's go and continue here, maybe. Yeah, let's do it. Do you see what do I have here, guys? Here I have lib. So it is for the PHA. It means who is able to create the schema, just a developer. It is the place that we are going to implement. We are going to use the beauty of a progenitor pattern. So in the UT, in this error with the WASM, all of them extend result. Use a WASM error. You know, any place you see this one, you want to return error, you need to implement a little bit, a few line of code. So to make it small and brief, I implemented a util, and generally I can say I use the GM, one of the GM project, and thank you GM. Helper, utils, rs. I'm going to create this one. So what does it mean? Instead of always implement this long one, I'm creating the helper for it. So here I can say, it's showing me that. No, it is not showing me. So I created a util. I need to bring it up from this one as a module, put it in a mode. If you don't know how it is working, go back to the video of modularity in Rust. We shared everything. But helper is here. The only thing we need to make use. Yes. So use caret error. This one. It's added as a use. Yes. Caret helper util error. So I added extra logic here. It means only developer can create a schema. Let's test this one. Oh, it passed because by default, we sent true this one, yeah? Let me add a new scenario. I'm going to add a scenario that non-developer is going to create actually entry and it's supposed to return false. Let me show you how to do that. Yeah. So I'm going to say that it was Alice, it is Bob. I'm installed the application. I'm sending false. It means non-developer cell. It means a person who is not developer. I'm going to send some data again. So I put in a try catch. In a try catch, it means for sure I'm waiting for exception. So if the exception in the return back is error, it should pass. It means if it is false, it is okay. It should pass. Bam, both pass. I hope it is totally clear what does it mean. One non-developer is going to create a schema and it is not supposed to be working and we are supposed to receive exception. So let me also clean up here to do not make it confused. So both of them are passed. It means officially we start using progenitor patterns and using the beauty of progenitor patterns. There are some scenarios. The only one who was supposed to do that scenario is a person who is a developer. The property is inside the progenitor pattern. I still have another scenario to show you, which is reading element. Let's see how the reading element is working. What does it mean? Is there any topic, any question, guys? So get a schema element. So what does it mean? We are going to send the schema data. It means the things we created and return back element. Do you remember we talked about element header? Let's see what is element, what is inside. But just see that entry hash, I'm creating exactly the same schema. Then the main entry is this one, okay? So I'm using this code. It means entry hash from hash default. So return back element, and we are sending back element to outside world. And right now we are going to implement test. And let's see how the things are working actually. What is element? What is inside element? And let me bring the test. So let me send the same schema. We have a schema definition version. Better to put a schema here. Definition. Okay, let me. So another scenario I implemented, get a schema element. I'm going to call and log to see what is element. Failed. Get a schema element is not exist.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have that
save.
not saved now. Yeah.
So yes, can you see, guys? Element is assigned header, your content, which is object, the hash, signature. Element has entry, so entry type is app, entry, and it is element. It is one element. Generally, it's the concept. Element is a logic for a container of a header and entry. So I think for today is enough. If there is any question, I wanted to show the creating element and fetch element, show element, create public entry. So for the next, we will continue. If there is any question, guys. No topic. So for recording, let's say bye-bye. Till the next week. Thank you for watching. So by the way, if there is any comment, please write in the description.